He's a special player. I think we all know that. I think that he's special. So.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in. Dennis Fithian with you here on the Maize and Blue Review. It's good afternoon, Michigan football here on a Friday. And, you're a football fan and it's a Friday. You don't really need to say too much more. You're jacked up for the weekend. You're ready to go. Michigan get ready to take on Indiana. I'm happy that you're here, taking a little time out of your day, and I'm going to get you ready for everything that's going on with Michigan as they prepare for the Hoosiers in Bloomington tomorrow, 12:10 kickoff. We'll get to everything that's going on in the game. Now, if you're out there and you want to leave a thought, you want to get a question, you have an opinion, you can go ahead and type it up and we'll put it on the screen and we'll deal with it as we go. But, it's tomorrow represents what you hope is not quite halfway through the season, because what you're hoping, like the regular season, it's easy enough, 6 games up, 6 games to play is the midway point to the regular season. No doubt about that. And so you're halfway home there. But as we all know, you want to see Michigan continue on to Indianapolis and then take it even further, like they did last year, to the college football playoff. And this year, and in each step of the way now, I think, you've thought about it. We were thinking about it all off season that, hey, can they really go to Indianapolis? Can they beat Ohio State again? Can they go to the college football playoff? Can they actually win a game in the college football playoff? Maybe go to the college football championship? Is it all there for them? And the answer to that is maybe. But with every game and every notch that they put in their belt, and they continue to post W's, especially after this weekend, it's going to get closer to closer, I think, with you feeling and everybody feeling like, they might have a shot to do something like that. Now, what are we going to talk about today? Well, Michigan, Indiana, for sure. We'll get to U of M's pass defense, and I'll have a prediction for you. And I've got some breaking news involving Michigan and Michigan State. Just kind of the rivalry of the two schools, and something that happened in the NBA that now that I've given you a hint, you probably know over the last 24 hours what has transpired in the NBA between a Wolverine and a Spartan. We'll go over and break that down a little bit. We'll start with Michigan and Indiana, the game tomorrow. And it's a couple of things that you need to know that you might not, sitting here kicking things off today, is that it is on Fox again for the third straight week. And so if you click right on at 12 o'clock and you're saying, I'm ready for the kickoff, well, it's not going to be till 12:10. So I like that extra 10 minutes as you're thinking you want everything in place and everything ready to go at noon, but giving yourself an extra 10 minutes for whatever else, some refreshments, running around outside, getting your seat all ready to go, whatever your preparations are. I like a little extra 10 minutes, but just know you have that. Don't be running around, sitting down, thinking you have everything, and then you're like, wait a second, I got an extra 10 minutes. So 12:10 is the kickoff in Bloomington. It is homecoming for the Hoosiers, and if you're heading to the game, does that matter if you're, watching this right now and you're going to watch it on TV? Probably not. You might see some retro-looking cheerleaders on the sideline, or you see some older folks in the stands with maybe some what looks like in their sweatshirt from the 80s or something, like when they played. The homecoming's great. So it's great if you go there. The tailgates, both before and after, and actually the nightlife or the afternoon life in and around Bloomington will be a little more spicy if you're, out of college age. I know that, there's some folks that when you go to college, the homecoming, it's like, oh, you got a bunch of old people coming back and wanting to and party and act like they're, reliving their school days. That's it. That's what it's about. So, the homecoming's great for everyone, I think, except the some of the students that are like, come on, you're hoarding in on our territory. But it is the one time that you go back and it's okay, to go waltz it into a college bar. It's all right on a college football Saturday anyways, but it's really okay. You know what I'm saying? On homecoming. You go back and it's I remember the first homecoming I went to Eastern about 10, 15 years afterwards. And it was like I never left. There it was. Hey, it's funny when you go back to school. I can remember going to a bar one time down in Depot Town and went upstairs. Hadn't been there in 15 years. There was a dude sitting at the bar. And it was like like it was there, like, so it's 15 years ago. It was like I hadn't seen him in 15 days. Like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, hey, what's going on with you? He's like, nothing. It was like Norm for Cheers sitting on at the end of the bar. All right. So there's a couple things, 12-10 kickoff. And you get the bullet points. I put the MGO Blue Michigan Notes, the front page. It's fun just to look at. They do a good job with the presentation. Number 4 Michigan, 5-0, 2-0 in the Big Ten. They've got their bullet points there with McCarthy, JJ McCarthy leading the NCAA in completion percentage, and he's 5th in pass efficiency. Like I said, after next week is when I'm going to dive more into, and I'll really be behind a lot more of the Big Ten numbers and the national numbers. But, this is a press release, so you can understand putting Blake Corum leading the NCAA in scoring, total touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, and 6th in rushing yards. That's good. And the defense has a note with Mike Morris being 2nd in the Big Ten and 20th nationally in sacks. So there you go. And here's one that I didn't know that's good anytime. That Michigan, the Wolverines, are the least penalized team in college football. I didn't know that until last night when I was looking at that and thought, well, okay, let's throw that page up there and talk with the Michigan fans about that. Let them know that that's a good thing, no matter who you're playing. You stand playing up to the whistle, no pre-snap, all that. Some penalties you deal with. You don't like those pre-snap penalties. You certainly don't like them in special team. Usually thinking about that hidden yardage on a kickoff. You're AJ Henning and you catch the ball and you might take it up 5 or 6 yards, but then you see the laundry over there. And the next thing you know, you're getting a block in the back and you're losing 15, 20 yards right there. But, it's Michigan. That's a good thing. And that's something that they'll want to carry into the second half of the season. So, this game, this is one where Michigan's a big time favorite. And so the anxiety about, this is wrong and that's wrong. There's a few things that you would like to see. You always start, no matter, even if it was this non-conference slate talking about it, you want to see a W. I mean, that's it. Michigan wants to get out of there with a W. But, more than that, I mean, we can talk honestly here. They want a W, but it's not like you'll sit here. Like if I was presented, usually when somebody presents me in a score and it's a win, I just take it. Like if you're playing that game. But if you presented me with the opportunity to say, hey, Michigan wins the game tomorrow 26-25, would you take that? No, I would not take that. I wouldn't want to see that. It's going to be a little bit too close for comfort. Now, if you use that exact same one, hey, would you take a Michigan 26-25 win right now over Penn State, who's on a bye this week? Next week when the Wolverines host the Nittany Lions, I would say, yeah, I would. Although, you might not. I'm just telling you how I look at it. I would take a W no matter what. You said 4 overtimes, 30-29, Michigan beats Penn State. I'll take it. I would take it right now, but I would not take that against Indiana. All right, before I give you some more of my points, let's see where the people are at. That's important. Here we are, less than 24 hours away from kickoff. We're just about 23 hours and 5 minutes. Actually, if it's going to go off at 12:10, we are 23 hours right now away from kickoff. T-minus 23 hours to see where the folks are at. And Antoine, like I said, Antoine took a couple of days off, and I thought, Antoine's gone to another podcast. He doesn't like how I'm delivering the Michigan news. And I thought, what did I do? What am I missing? What am I not putting on there that Antoine has gone away But, Antoine came back yesterday, and here he is today leading off, and he is writing about the secondary. He said it's great. And he's pointing out that he said before the start of the season, it's pretty much the strength of the defense. Michigan could actually run zero coverage and get away with it from time to time. That's leaving both corners out on an island, right? That's the zero coverage. I tend to agree with you on that. I think for me, as I look at that, we're going to get to the secondary here in a moment. Antoine, with the pass-happy Hoosiers, for me, winning this game, sharing the wealth on offense, and that would be hooking up Andrell Anthony with some extra targets, getting Cornelius Johnson, more than one catch. That's what I would like to see. Sharing the wealth in the backfield as well. And if you didn't, I should have told you, I don't remember if I did now, that this is Mike Hart.
He's a special player. I think we all know that. I think that he's special. So.
Who is Mike Hart talking about there? Well, you'd say, Mike Hart, running back coach, probably talking about Blake Corum. That'd be a great guess. But it's not Blake Corum. He was talking about Donovan Edwards. And you hear coaches throw around, or people throw around the word great. And you're like, well, is that, are you saving that? But I agree. I think, Donovan Edwards could be a great football player. And about sharing the wealth, do you need to have Corum getting 30 carries tomorrow? Would you like to see maybe 19 carries and then bump Donovan Edwards up to 10 or 15 and get the freshman back in there and get him some carries? CJ Stokes, you never know when you're going to need him back there again. CJ Stokes, who had that fumble earlier in the year. And then anybody that's talking about this game and talking about Michigan and what they would like to see, I think you have to put down that you would like to see J.J. McCarthy connect on some deep shots. I mean, it's obvious. The staff knows that. Indiana presents an opportunity with what you see with their secondary and overall in their defense and their pass defense specifically. Michigan, if you're not going to be able to connect on some deep shots and you're J.J. McCarthy against Indiana, well, then the question is, are you ever going to be able to connect on any? I think would be fair. So get that out of the way, get it going, and I think you're going to feel pretty good if you're a Michigan fan. But they are a pass-happy club, and that's if you're sitting back and you look at Michigan's pass defense and they put all the players in the secondary up on the board. And DJ Turner and Jymon Green, the starters at corners, they have been solid. And you'd even say, Green has maybe played better than people have thought. Turner's a star. Will Johnson, the 5-star, the most highly rated player in all of the Big Ten. And he plays for Michigan. We see a lot of, I think, number 2 out there. And then the safeties, Rod Moore, RJ Moten, who got the buffs against Maryland when he made that pick. And then Makari Page, who's pictured. All of these guys. I mean, these guys are good. And you're going to see with Indiana a pass-happy offense and fast break offense. You'll see a lot of 7, 19, 6. DJ Turner is 5. Jymon Green, 22. Will Johnson, number 2. You're going to see a lot of those guys, and they're going to be involved in it. These are the guys, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday, where you're looking for feel good about the second half of the season, and that would be the linebackers in pass coverage, and that's Junior Colson. That's Michael Barrett, who has number 23, started every game except the opener for U of M at linebacker. And then the true freshman Jimmy Rolder's been getting in there. All of those guys, seeing how they work through Indiana. They're going to throw the ball a lot. They have obviously watched what Iowa was able to do in some of those seams and throwing the ball into the middle of the field. They're going to be trying to do that same thing. So how Michigan plays that, adjusts, gets the feel for that, that'll be something front and center to watch in this game. So, that's where I'm sitting with the pass defense. That's where I'm sitting overall with the game. Let's see what the people are saying. Lyle is just hoping for 4 quarters of attacking offense. Fair enough, Lyle. I don't think anybody's going to say that that's unreasonable or something that they wouldn't want to see. I'm with you on that. Shadyville says since the start of Big Ten play, we seem to improve each game. Will the linebackers take a step forward, especially in zone coverage? Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. I'm right there with you, Shadyville, along with McCarthy dialing it up downtown. I'm saying, what are the 2 biggest things that I'm looking? Well, I'll say 3 because you always want to put that win in there. After a win, all right, 3 things: a win, McCarthy connecting downtown, and then the linebackers getting it done in pass coverage. Those are the top 3 things. So I'm with you, Shadyville. I'm feeling it. Steven S is going to be ticked when he doesn't remember this is 12:03 and he's waiting for the game to start. That's okay. That's okay. Richard expects a big offensive line dominant performance this weekend. I'm with you there. Shadyville was listening to, people discussing other podcasts. There's no real reason for me to go ahead and throw that up on the screen. And we do have some scores coming in. Let's put some of those up there. Richard's like 42-13. My score is coming up. Shadyville likes 45-17. 45-17. Not bad. Steven is 38-13. But between Shadyville and Steven S, getting pretty close to where I'm sitting. Steven almost bullseyed it. I think actually between the two, they have bullseyed it 48-17. Here's something that is a tease to a video that we're going to play in a little bit, saying that Draymond is psycho. A silver lining in JJ missing those deep shots. He continues to take them when available. A lesser quarterback would be rattled by the misses. Maybe. It's he didn't take as many last game. I mean, if you want to really look back to the Maryland game and how many he missed, he didn't take as many last game. So, like he's got to do it. It's a big part of being able to expose a defense, being able to utilize the entire field, making those safeties. You're able to do that. It just helps out everything. And it's easier said than done because you're going to need that protection. But, the thing about it is he has had the protection, he's had the look, and he's had the receiver open and he's missed it. That's why he's just, to be able to do it, you don't want this to be a talking point next week against Penn State. And you're going to start saying like, well, it's a little bit of something, you've seen enough games. It's a trend now. Is it something you don't want it to be like, unfortunately, when Shea Patterson was here, even before he came in, that was a knock on him for me when I watched Patterson in a clean pocket with his feet set in the videos that I was watching. I'm like, this guy can't throw a deep ball to save his life. You don't want to say those kind of things about JJ McCarthy. Here's a Brano asking a question about a defensive back getting hurt last week. He remembers them checking on someone. Then they went to a commercial and never followed up. That was DJ Turner who went down, but he returned in the game. So I'm not saying that, he's 100%. That's great. No problems there. But when you see a guy go down, he gets up, and then he returns in the game, you feel, I feel, you should feel like it's a pretty good chance that he is going to be good to go. Somebody else talking about other podcasts. Yep, that's going to kind of end the the feedback at this point. Okay, let's look at my prediction. and it's pretty close to where everyone else is at. What, Michigan's a 22.5-point favorite. So what's that put them at? 19, 29, 39. That does not have them covering. I've got Indiana plus 22.5, with Michigan winning at 38-17. That's how I feel about it. So if you could get mad that you don't think Michigan's that I think that they're not going to cover. That's fair. I just came up with my score and I put it up there. I usually feel like I have a strong feel all down through the years with my predictions. Like, not only like I feel like I follow the team and try to stay up with it and everything else, and try to know everything that's going on. In the past, I feel like I've done a really good job being able to predict the outcomes and see how it goes. Except this year, my record, I have only picked Michigan. I've picked them to win all the games, and they have won all of them. But I've only been right one time. That was last week. So I'm on a roll. I'm looking for 2 in a row. But that's what it comes down to with the point spreads. Yeah, I'm 5-0 picking Michigan to win, but I was 0-4. I believe heading into last week against the spread, which is shows you it's tough. It can be difficult to deal with. Now, here's a real good indication. It's a real good test. It's viral right now. You heard about the story yesterday of the Warriors practice of Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole, the former Wolverine, getting punched by the former Spartan. And then you saw various reporters having their own inside scoop about, Poole was running his mouth about a triple single, or Poole was talking about his pool in his backyard or something. And Draymond Green, took exception and, punched him. Now we have the video. And predictably, if you are a Michigan fan, and you're going to, say things about Draymond Green, like, he's the worst thing, like, this guy's a jerk, whatever else. And like I said, it's predictable if you're a fan. And a lot of the media, I think it's also very predictable. Like, when they come up, this is the thing that I have a hard. I don't know if you want somebody to be objective, or you want somebody that's covering Michigan to, like, oh yeah, Draymond Green's the biggest, this side of whatever. Like, it's, to me, it's always telling, when something like this happens. And let's watch the video a little bit, and we'll go and take this from all sides. Now, so here it is. You got this is the very end, and it only lasts a couple seconds, so they'll cue it back up and it just runs. So here you got Draymond Green, he's talking. You got Jordan Poole with his hands on his hips, but then he gets right in his face. Poole pushes him, and then you have Draymond Green throwing the straight right, and it looks like he connects on with Jordan Poole's face. And then there you go. Since then, we've heard that, Draymond Green has apologized. There could be a fine forthcoming. And then you just have to have your opinion on it. And like I said, state fans will have their opinion, and it's going to be mostly Draymond Green sided. And then the Michigan fans are going to side with Jordan Poole. Now, you could, if I take it from the team standpoint, Steve Kerr is the head coach of the Warriors. Back when Steve Kerr was a player, he was punched in the face in a practice by none other than Michael Jordan, punched right in the kisser by MJ. So the histrionics and freaking out, like, Draymond Green should be in jail. This is oh my God, how could he do this? Well, Steve Kerr, it was, received the 5 fingers, or the knuckle sandwich back when he played. Oh, and then you can say, well, Jordan was a hothead or whatever else. Also, if you're old enough to remember the bad boys, Mahorn and Lambier were going after, Barkley or Dr. J or Larry Bird, and those were games, and you get it. But Isaiah Thomas broke his fist punching Bill Lambier in the face during a practice. The point to that is these kind of things happen from time to time. You don't like them to happen, but they do happen. Now, you don't get the video, and I think people are like, who's going to be leaking this video? They don't like Draymond Green, or you put the contract situation into play here. And I think those are things like because NBA fans, they like the offseason in the draft talk and trade talk and drama talk as much as they like the regular season. And then sometimes I think they like it more. So this plays into it. These aren't actual games, but you have a contract situation. You're going to have trash talk, and then you have the two rivals of Michigan and Michigan State. So this is perfect it was going to be perfect for 24 hours like it happened yesterday, and we saw the news. And now we have the video. So it's become a 48-hour story. I don't think there's going to be much after this. I don't think there's going to be, because it happens. It happened to the Warriors coach, and we know enough about Draymond Green from listening to him in his podcast and watching his career is that he plays on edge. He does things in the finals, whether it's, grabbing LeBron James or kicking him between the legs and, maybe costing the team a championship, or even last year what he was doing when there was, I think it was against the Celtics where he fouled out and he was jumping around and people were like, well, he's acting a fool. It's like, that's Draymond. Draymond is going to, you accept a little bit of that bad that comes along with him being edgy. Now you take it from the Jordan Poole side. Do you say, well, poor Jordan Poole? I mean, he was just standing there with his hands on his hips, and then Draymond Green got in his face, and then he pushed him, and then he shouldn't have expected to get, a punch right in the face. I know that there's been reports about this is what Draymond said, or this is what Jordan Poole said. Here's what you know about sports and about fighting, that you can say whatever you want, your mother, you're an F in this or whatever else. But if you're in close proximity to someone and you're running your mouth, you might be writing some checks that you can't cash, right? So, it can. And I don't know if this is a modern day player or if it's a social media thing. A lot of people say a lot of stuff like, hey, I'll take you out, blank you and everything else. They just get behind keyboard warrior. They can say whatever they want. Michigan State fans always going back and forth like this. Sometimes it comes down to like, hey, how much money you make? All that kind of stuff. But the point here is that, Poole could have been running his mouth and antagonizing Green, and you might want to poke that bear. But when you do get face to face with somebody and chest to chest, when you're 5 feet away from somebody, you don't have to worry about it. Once you get here and you get into somebody's face, you got to watch out. You could, then it's on. And if you push somebody back when they are in your chest, you better be prepared that you could possibly for some retribution. Just like Green, when he gets chest to chest with Poole, he would have been wise to be prepared to, maybe get punched in the face too, like right here. He better get ready to get punched in the face. Now you get pushed. Do you expect to get pushed in the punch in the face by another player? Whatever you're going to say there. So, and on Green's side, is this a good luck? For a punch at a teammate? No. But like I said, you do go back to the history of the NBA, and that it's happened with the greatest player of all time. He did that. With the greatest Piston of all time, he did that. And so, Draymond Green with his 4 championships and everything else, maybe he was, miffed at a contract. Maybe he was miffed at whatever. You got 2 trash talkers going back and forth. Sometimes, you're going to let it play out there. But for people who are like, oh, my God, what's going on? And for Michigan fans, I mean, like, the greatest Wolverine of all time is Anthony Carter. But the second, one of the second all-time Wolverine, you have Charles Woodson. You can make a case. Charles Woodson was in a fight his first day at practice with Michigan, fighting his teammate, throwing punches at Ty Streets, had to be separated. Should Lloyd Carr said, let's get this guy out of here. This guy's a chump. Get into a fight with an upperclassman. Can you say, well, that's football? Football, If you ever watch training camp, I mean, every training camp, you see these guys, teammates fighting. So it does happen. So that's how I see it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. You don't like it to happen. It does happen. You don't often get video, which sends the modern day sports fan into a tizzy, and then you put the Michigan State element into it, and you just have people will act a fool and just run to their the maize and blue corner and run to the green and white corner, and I don't know, like, so it's not a big deal, and so maybe that's just fine. Like, be a Michigan fan, get over there, throw insults at, Sparty, make jokes about the football team or Mel Tucker. And maybe it's just a rivalry thing and you're just having fun. And the same thing of the green and white side. You can say, hey, here, these are 4 championship rings. You're Jordan Poole, blah, 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 all. And then you just do that. And then we know it's just all in, I guess, fun, all in just rivalry talk. And then if you're the media, you're kind of just fanning the flames a little bit and you're just kind of having some fun. All right. But like, I find, picking either side here, my opinion is it happens. We see it. We have seen it, and it's not that big of a deal. It's a 24 or 48-hour story, and then we're moving on. But when I see like the green and white and the Michigan, and that fan, I understand for a fan. They don't have to, like, you're just a fan. You say whatever the hell you want. But when I find that, you're I don't know if you're supposed to be above. Are you supposed to be above it? Like if you're in the media or you work for whoever you're representing, are you supposed to bring a little bit of objectivity? I don't know. Depends, what your fan base really thinks. Like, no, we just want you to be on our side. I want you to make jokes about Michigan State. We want you to call them Sparty. We want you to say things demeaning towards Draymond Green, like, because you're playing up to your fan base. Maybe that's what you want. So that's how I see it. I've talked a long time about it. Let's see what all of these Michigan fans have to say about it. Let's see. Antoine says Tuck's coming. Neil says, excuses. If I did that to someone, I would be brought up on charges. Book it. Yeah, well, you're not in the NBA, Neil. Like, so that's the difference. I mean, it's different when you're playing professional basketball and you and me being out in in the park or something. It's different. Shady remembers the Woodson David Boston fight. Yeah, that was in the 97 game where they were, you get it when it's opposite. When they're your opponents. I mean, you're gonna like, we could sit around and mention a lot of different fights. Richard says, what about the judge getting punched? Yeah, like, again, like, who did he get punched by? That was, an opponent, right? Antoine says Draymond likes to start stuff with people. He won't fight back or can't beat him. Well, he does like to start stuff. I mean, it's part of what makes him tick when he plays. And if you're on his team, you like that, you hate him, you like that, that kind of thing. I've always been one, here I am again, going right to the Michigan State stuff. I've always been like, I get, you don't want Michigan State to win anything. You want to keep them down as much as possible. You want to squash them like a bug. You want them to hurt. You want them to feel it. You want nothing positive to happen from a Michigan fan standpoint. And that's the way it is. And you expect the exact same thing from them. You get that. I understand that completely. Once a guy graduates and then goes to the pros, to me, that stuff's all over. Sure, he went to Michigan State. But what if he goes to a team that you like? And are you really going to carry it on when the guy goes to the pros? And I think with Green, because he is demonstrative and everything else, I think people have carried that along with him. But I look at Chris Spielman to the Lions. I mean, he's one of my favorite players of all time. He went to Ohio State. Clark Kellogg, college basketball player that went to play the pros in Indiana. And then, now he's on, all the tournament coverage. I like Clark Kellogg. I like listening to Clark Kellogg talk about basketball. I don't care that he went to Ohio State. It's fine. It's all good. I don't really care for the broadcasting ability of Desmond Howard. Like the whole, I'm just a complete homer cheerleader. Look, I get, I don't have anything against him personally, and he's one of the greatest Wolverines of all time, and he's got $1 million smile. I think he does great things off the field with, with his promoting exercise and diet. That's all great. I'm just talking about him as a broadcaster. I don't really care for it. I love Charles Woodson as much as anybody. There's not one person out there that likes Charles Woodson more than me, but the let's grab the flag and run around the field because I'm a broadcaster. That's me. I don't like that stuff. But so that's it. But I know that puts me in the minority when it comes down to fans. You can say, well, you're not totally with Michigan if you're not just completely embracing, all of the maize and blue and everything that you have to, that they do. Boxing, protect yourself at all times. Yeah. this is a good, Draymond likes to act tough when he knows people will stop the fight. I don't know, like Draymond likes to talk a lot. And apparently Jordan Poole likes to talk a lot. That can, depending how much trash you talk and what kind of trash you talk, you can get under somebody's skin and they can want to fight you. And it goes with the territory that way. I don't know. Like if we're talking about, and we see it now with, what was it? Adrian Peterson was, climbing into. We see this a lot with former athletes. They want to keep it going. And Le'Veon Bell get in there and they're actually boxing. If we put Jordan Poole and Draymond Green, Draymond, what's Draymond Green weigh? 260, maybe? 6'5", 260? What's Jordan Poole? 6'3", 190? I mean, that's a huge discrepancy. So you wouldn't have these two guys. He is picking on a lighter player there. So you could say pick on somebody your own size. But I think that's fair. Also, though, you got to depend what you're saying. You can't just say anything. That might be the if there's a lesson, no matter if you're in the pros or if you're behind a keyboard, the tough talk, sometimes somebody's going to check you on it. Man, I was going to say, I play basketball all the time, pickup, but I haven't in 2 years since, the pandemic. I used to play at least one time a week, even 2 years ago. I'd get in there and there's all kinds of trash talk, but you get really personal with somebody, you start saying something, in MF or something, somebody might run up and I'll tell them, I might jack up a couple shots and, tell somebody that, they better check up or, maybe they guard me or, this is just going to go on all day. And if I'm winning and they're talking, you say, you talk a lot for somebody that's not winning or anything or staying out of the court. I mean, I'll talk. I'll talk when you're out there, but I'm not getting personal. And I actually like when I'm getting ready and, dribbling the ball up and somebody, tries to take it away from me, it's not so fast. And then when I get ready to shoot, before the shot goes up, if I have somebody tell me that shot is off or broke or something like that, nothing locks me in or fires me up more than having somebody when I'm getting ready to shoot, even if it's from somebody from the side, it just hyper focuses me like your shot's off. Oh yeah, here you go. Boom. And then when I make it, you better believe I'm shooting them a look and telling them, I'm like, yeah, you got any more predictions? Anything. But so trash talk is fun to a point. And so that's how I'm looking at it. I'm mostly just having fun. Let's have some fun. It doesn't have to be that serious. And maybe the people that are playing the Michigan pom-pom side or the green and white pom side, they're just having fun anyway. It's just a rivalry thing. That's not that big of a deal. And can we say that, and I don't know this for sure, can we say that they're lucky? Because that was a big-time shot, right to his face. You break his jaw, and then you're affecting the season. where, you're down a man, you have friendly fire, so you can be lucky that nothing happens. Back when I was in high school, somebody came at me and I took like a wild shot, swing at somebody one time, but I connected right in their face. And, who knows? Like, and that really screwed that guy up for a while. Completely just, let's say, lucky punch. He deserved it, but it was a totally lucky punch by me. But you don't want to be punching people in the face. But if nothing happens out of it where maybe he's just going to have a shiner or something, you're good. And it's just 24 hours or 48 hours of fun. We say it that way. That's enough. I've said the last of it, but I will take up a few of the feedbacks here and have some more fun. Third Minded went to Cooley, where we fought every game. He would not do that in the old PSL in the 90s. No, you talk about the Michael Talley's Cooley. No, that wasn't happening. Draymond's up there from the valley, right? He's a Saginaw. No, you're right. I can remember, like, you see some of the clips, and you may have saw it from the one, is it the last Fab Five documentary? Where Jalen Rose, and maybe it was against Cooley. I don't even know who it was against, but Jalen Rose is out there just going down the throat. Like, you needed security. You needed some straight up metal. I think that you have to have metal detectors anyways when you're going into a game, but that might even been before metal detectors. But these guys are going out there. You're talking about taking a hard foul. You must have. People know what I'm talking about. Like Rose going up for a dunk, and this guy's not even, going for the ball, straight up like tackling him, trying to run him into the wall, elbows into the face and everything. And this is repeated. Like, I don't even know if they're throwing guys out. Yeah, the PSL, 80s and 90s PSL. I don't know about what it was like in the 70s, but wasn't it Michigan basketball where, and this might have been in the 70s. I don't know if there's anybody that can recall the 70s back there, but I think the one basketball team that Michigan had, they were known as the blood nose lane team or something. And what that meant is that if you went into the lane, you were getting a bloody nose. You were getting fouled. And you were getting fouled hard. Most of the fouls from the bloody nose lane team would have everybody ejected and they'd be out. Like, this is a completely different game. I think that's what was going on. Third Minded wore Talley's number. I saw Cooley play in the tournament, high school tournament. It was Talley. I think Talley was playing for him. I'm going to say that game was at Southfield Lathrop. I saw that game. I didn't see many high school tournament games, but I did see that one. It reminds me of, I've only seen a handful, but it reminds me of my favorite high school game that I ever saw was Romulus against Wayne in 1988 at Wayne Memorial High School. Terry Mills, who would go on to win Mr. Basketball, was the center for Romulus. They would go on to win the state title that year. But Wayne, playing at home, it might have been a double overtime game. And Wayne Memorial had some dude named, who was Garden Mills, who was 6'9". Their center was like 6'1" or 6'2". I think his name was Flowers. This dude was taking Terry Mills to school. He'd get him in the post, and he would spin on him, and Mills, he was just too fast. Mills couldn't guard him. Great game. And then Wayne's, and I was sitting down right with perfect angle. I think in the first overtime, maybe it was the regulation, this guy in the corner with like a second to go to win the game. And I'm like 5-10 feet behind him. And he throws it up there, guy for Wayne Memorial. Perfect looking shot. And it just misses by a hair. Makes that all of history has changed. Mills and Romulus do not win the tournament. I remember I'm coming out for warm-ups. I was pumped. Like, these guys come out, man, and they're running around a circle. They're doing the layups, and I'm like, this is as hype and as exciting as you can get for high school basketball. This is it. Those guys were the energy that they brought just to the layup line. It was pure intimidation, and I was there for all of it, man. It was great. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see where other people are at. Probably a lot of feedback that I didn't get to. Let's see. The over and under times Tuck has to change his shirt because he's sweating through it. Tuck's a sweater. There's no doubt about that. Tuck likes cigars and cars, taking pictures with car, and he sweats a lot. But hey, when you got 95 mil, you're good to go. Do anything. Let's see what Jam City has to say. What's my opinion on the chance that Harbaugh hits the 1980s power football button if we get up more than 2 TVs, activating Harbaugh mode, running 2.0 up the middle 35 times, and only tight ends get the passes? You know what? I think there's a chance, Jam City. JC, you brought it up earlier in the week, and I don't know if you heard the sound yesterday, and it was from Rick Neuheisel, and he was talking to Rick Pizzo from the Big Ten, and it's always good to get outsiders, at least their view of what's going on. And Neuheisel was talking pretty much like J.J. McCarthy's been a game manager. He hadn't thrown the ball a whole heck of a lot, and knowing what Michigan's identity was last year, and it was a ground and pound attack, and the way they've been going to Blake Corum, then Corum, that the idea that they'll just the strategy and the philosophy and the identity of last year isn't so far off for this year, even though you have J.J. McCarthy. And just maybe, they're hoping to develop it along the way, a McCarthy, but they have not called as many runs for him, RPOs, designed runs, anything else. And maybe they will here now that you get these first 6 games. These first 6 games, it was let's bring them along, see how it goes, and then you get these other 6. But I tell you, like, JC, I don't really care myself. Now, it's not the way that I would love to be in some of the meetings. I would say, look, let's let it hang it out a little bit more. But is that what I would say? This week, I would say I would like to see McCarthy air it out more. I'd like to see him throwing the ball. I'm going like this. I'd like to see him throwing the ball a little bit more. That's important. Being able to see him get some downfield passing reps and then feel good about that. Don't want to go into the last 6 games with that hanging over his head. But like beating Penn State, if you're telling me, well, is Harbaugh just going to go with Blake Corum 35 times and Michigan going to win the game 28-21, or, they get up by 14 points and Harbaugh goes into a shell and just runs Corum every time. Hey, look, coaches in general are much more conservative as a whole than fans. You just know that. I know that in baseball, when the fans, like 100% of the fans want to make this change, want to drop this guy in the order, and everybody's in unison and all agree, this guy should be dropped in the order, this guy should not be playing here. A manager will go for another 2-3 weeks before he makes that change. The point there is, like, we're a little bit more, both media, fans are more reactionary and more pedal to the metal and more like, let's just let it fly than coaches are. And Harbaugh, knowing him, yeah, he likes it when Harbaugh's idea of winning a game, he gets up 10 points, like he feels like, let's dial it back. Let's just run the ball. We've got this one. I don't know if that's what he's saying in his head, but he's like, let's not risk anything. Let's just play this real close to the vest now. We're in a good spot. So there is some of that. And I know, like, you could be critical of that. That's going to cost Michigan. And it hasn't. It didn't last year. The philosophy of ground and pound, which was new, worked great for them. Maybe they, like you could say, well, it cost them the Michigan State game. What cost them the Michigan State game last year was their defense. What cost Michigan the Michigan State game last year was giving up 5 touchdowns to K9 and not being able to get him on the ground. What cost Michigan last year against Michigan State was being outflanked and outmaneuvered. Mike McDonald, had his lunch handed to him by MSU. He wasn't, like the substitution issues. It happened. That was a big part of the game. Sure, there were some things offensively they could have done more, but and where am I going with this? Oh, but then they got back. The big reason, one of the big reasons they beat Ohio State, it wasn't letting it fly with McNamara. It was running the ball, playing really good defense too, but it was, running the ball. Offensively, it wasn't like, let's go crazy, whipping it around. And it feels like as we sit here on the 7th of October, that when Michigan does go down to Ohio State and they are 11-0 and they're taking on the 11-0 Ohio State Buckeyes, that Michigan is going to have to bring not only a ground game and not only a great defensive game plan and execution from that side of the ball, but they're also going to need dynamic play from their quarterback. Can they go the whole way with playing it like last year and then just spring and let's just go crazy with JJ, let him run, let him throw? I think they're ramping up to next week with JJ. Remember, he's fumbled 3 times in 2 games. Michigan's covered all 3. That's important. He almost threw the pick, so he's got some things to tighten up on, but he's improving. Somebody mentioned it, he's improved in the 2 games from Maryland to Iowa, and I saw that myself. A little bit like this in the first half against Maryland. Even in the second half against Maryland, he had calmed down, took the coaching. I like that. I think that was a big thing for his development. And then last week, he was mostly really good, with pick, deep ball, fumbling the ball back to his goal line. No small things, but, the way that he orchestrated at the controls, that first drive, the way he was running, he looked like a quarterback that was calm, cool, collected, experienced, running the team. He fumbled that ball, missed the deep shot, and then what were the other? Oh, he had those delay of games where it was a little chaotic. He was on the road. I'd expect him to get that down a little bit more. That's easier to sit here and say, hey, run the clock down to 1, get the play in quicker, give yourself, those are, make the change at the line, check with me. There's a lot of different things going on. We get all that. I think he's doing good. I'm not saying he's fine, he's fine. That's true. I think he is fine, but I think he's doing good. You should be excited. To get back to JC's point, are they going to crawl into some kind of shell tomorrow if they're up by 14 points? I don't know. I think that they're going to work on the downfield passing game, Jam City. And if they can get what they want done, let's just say Cornelius Johnson, 67-yard touchdown over the middle. Woo! First quarter, Michigan's up 24-0 at the half. If they come out in the second half and they're just running it up the middle, are you going to be mad about that? And then, IU scores a touchdown to get within 14 or 10 late in the fourth quarter where you're like, ooh, who knows? A 3 and out and an onside kick and a bomb and it's a 1-score game. That could happen. You asked me my opinion, and that's what it is. Luke, what's up with AJ Henning? Is he back? He's back. He was back last week. I thought he looked pretty good. Good job back there. Do I think that Also, in the second half of this season, getting Henning a little bit more out of the backfield, getting him more on the end arounds, getting him a little bit more involved. Yeah, the part about the receivers and sharing and you could add him into, like I said, get Cornelius Johnson and Andrell Anthony more involved in the game plan and give them targets and scheme them up. That's something that I'm looking for, along with the deep balls offensively for Michigan. I don't know. Henning is so involved with special teams, and that they did have him running out of the backfield. Like, I feel like he knows, and I know, and that he's going to be a big part of this moving forward. I don't know if all those guys feel like that. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. I don't agree with this. Third Minded says he's talking about Green is the reason Durant left that team. Dude is a cancer. Well, sign me up for some cancer then. Then he's got 4 championships. And he's been a part of that. And he plays great defense and he passes the ball around. No, I can't really shoot. And, but he's the perfect, part of it is the engine. He's an exceptional passer. So, and, Durant's got his own issues. Durant's the reason he left. Durant left because he jumped on the coattails of the Warriors and won a couple championships. And everybody said, hey, Durant, if you're the greatest player, like if you think you're the best player in the league, like Durant's great, really is. I mean, he's just like one of the greatest players ever. But when you put yourself in that stratosphere, what you're going to be judged on is that, certainly championships, but are you able to do it where you're the focal point? And Durant had that opportunity when he left Oklahoma City. And instead of taking the hard road and the road like, hey, I'm the best in the league, I want to be one of the greatest ever, I'm going to this team and I'm running everybody out of the gym and I'm going to win a championship and everybody's going to see I'm Kevin Durant. Instead, he did what I thought was a weak move historically for him. Not that he's not a great player and one of the greatest ever, but he went to a team that won 73 games the year before. Oh, like, and it's fine. I understood that everybody understands that he had the choice to do that. It was just how historically he was going to be viewed. And yeah, him and Green's got a strong personality. There's no doubt about that. And do I think, I think I might want to, throw a couple punches at him sometimes. Sometimes, he feels like you want to put your arm around him. Sometimes you feel like you want to, throw him off a bridge. I mean, that's him. Well, let's not act like he wasn't a part of these championships. He cost him a championship by kicking LeBron in the nuts. All right. You could be right, but, you might have won him one or two. As well. It's good. And then remember, when I'm talking about the NBA, you got to have a little fun. And no, it's not fun getting punched in the face. But hopefully Poole's okay. And, this is just all something that we can all just have trash talk. Ooh. Antoine wants more of a killer instinct from Jim. More of a killer instinct. Well, just think. Did he have a killer instinct against Iowa? Did you want more of a killer instinct against Iowa? Because Michigan got up. They're up 13-0 at the half. You could say, well, I wanted a killer instinct down there before the half and score a touchdown. I'll buy that. But they were confused. They had the delay. They were panicked over there on the sideline. Hey, that didn't come down to a killer instinct. That came down to getting the play in there, having a sophomore quarterback, and the play clock was running fast, and everybody was panicked over there. So I don't see the lack of a killer instinct there. When they got up 20-0 after 3 quarters, you'd say, I wish they were up 30-0. If they had a killer instinct, they'd be up 30-0. I'm not really buying that. They're up 27-7 with 8 seconds to go. You can say, but what about those 3 and outs? They threw the ball on all 3 of those 3 and outs. If you go back and watch, they shouldn't have run on the 3rd and 1 into the stack box. You could say that wasn't a killer instinct. You could say that was, Jim wanting to use the running game and get behind his offensive line, and that was the Bo influence. I'll buy that. But that's one play when it comes down to the killer instinct. But I want Michigan to be more like Alabama. Alabama made the championship game last year. Go back and look at their schedule and how they played. Auburn gave them all they had, could handle. They were, I don't know to say they were lucky, but Mississippi State beat them on the road. They were in a bunch of close ball games last year. A bunch. They weren't blowing people out. Did Alabama not have a killer instinct last year and they got them all the way to the championship game against Georgia? They won the SEC championship, got all the way to the championship game, but they didn't have a killer instinct. I think people believe that, and I think when you want to run the ball more, you want Michigan. I'm talking about you, Antoine. Everybody wants Michigan to throw the ball more than they run it, and that makes us feel like. And I get it. I'm not over here telling anybody. You probably know as much or more than me when it comes down to it. I know how it feels when a team runs the ball and they don't throw it as much as you want. It makes you feel like that they don't have a killer instinct. That's how it feels. And, there could be a point to that. Coach's side is like, we're trying to win the ball game. We're not necessarily looking for style points. We're also, not trying to get our quarterback hurt, by, throwing the ball down. All kinds of different things that they could say. I don't know about the quarterback being hurt, if that's what they would say. Different philosophies for different coaches and the play caller. That's why it makes it so interesting when you think about play calling. Is Harbaugh calling the plays at times? Is Matt Weiss calling the plays? Is Sharon Moore calling the plays? You have 3 cooks in the kitchen calling the plays. I hope that I don't have to bring it up, because the only time the triple or double play caller on offense is going to get brought up again, or defense for that matter, is if Michigan loses. They win, people are going to be okay. They laugh about it. Play caller, hey, Joe Klatt got upset. Whatever. It's collaborative. Harbaugh's smart. Harbaugh's dumb, whatever. But it's not going to be a big deal unless Michigan loses. So that's it. Hopefully it doesn't come up anymore. All the things, I was talking about them. We won a national championship without a weekly heart attack is all. Fair. I don't know, it's been a pretty smooth ride, Christopher. You got to admit right now, the first 3 games were a laugher. Maryland, was there really any point? They didn't play as well as you might have wanted, but was there really any point in that game? For a second that you were like, uh-oh, maybe a second. Was there any point against Iowa? I would have been more, I think I'll say it's more nervous. I would have been, I felt like more, and it was only for 1 second against Maryland that maybe they were going to lose. I felt like maybe a half second against Iowa. Iowa kept, but the refs every time ooh, man, Iowa's got something going. They'd be like, oh, it's coming back, or we got a mystery chop block. And, so every time, Iowa, maybe you thought they were going to have something going and that maybe it was going to be 1 second where you're going to worry. It was like the refs jumped in there. No, I thought the game was over in the first 5 minutes of the game. And then, 13-0, you're thinking, you get shades of 2016 where they lost 14-13. You're like, oh my God, I don't get I get all of the other scores, and you always want them to be up by as much as possible. You don't like settling for field goals and all of those things. But this team's they got good talent. They've got a difference maker at quarterback. They got a lot of playmakers on the outside. They got 2 really good running backs. They got what I think is a fantastic offensive line. The defense is emerging. It's a work in progress. But, can they be a top 25 defense? That's what you need. You need a top 25 defense. I'm not talking about, I don't think they're going to be a top 5 defense. But can they hang in there and make some plays? I mean, they've shown some signs of that. Antoine was talking about how much he liked the defensive backs. They've got as good a secondary and DBs as anybody in the country. And you look at that defensive line, how many of you want to just say 3, or if you want to add, Mike Morris in there, however you want to look at it, the front 4, those guys look pretty good. Oki's come along. Looks like he could be a difference maker. Special teams, it sucks losing your long snapper and your ace in Caden Colasar off of special teams. And yeah, they've got some other injuries. That's really testing their depth. And who knows if any of those guys are coming back? Talking about McNamara, All, Kai Hill, Green. I don't know. Probably not. Got to prepare to go without them. But they've been able to weather that because they've had some depth at those positions. With the exception of linebacker, which is the one you want to get a little bit nervous and watch the guys tomorrow. Well, I said, that's where, they had all the answers on defense, and, Nakai Hill Green was in there, and they were slamming the door shut. You could say, hey, maybe this could be a top 10 defense. Were they around there last year? But I think, top 25. Certainly top 20. Would I take Michigan, finishing as a top 20 defensive team right now? I would. Because I think the offense could be top 5. And I think they can be the best special teams again in the country. And that, to me, is going to put them in position to win all of their games. Now you just got to let those playmakers go out there and do it. All right. I want to remind folks, if they did not know, that after the game, there's Draymond again. That's not what I'm reminding people about. This is here. Tomorrow after the game, 5 to 10 minutes after Michigan and Indiana, join me and Jim Scarcelli. We will be on talking about the game. Indiana throws the ball so much, I'm expecting that game to be over at around 3:35, 3:40. But heck, the way Michigan runs the ball, maybe it'll be over at 3:15. Whatever the case is, 5 to 10 minutes after, we'll be here, and we will be talking about it. I mentioned the Maize and Blue Review a lot. It's because we are presented by Rivals, and I work for the Maize and Blue Review, rivals.com. And guess what? Right now, you can get free access until basketball season. Use the promo code UMB2B. That's UMB2B. I appreciate everybody leaving their feedback, subscribing, rating, commenting, all of those things. You listen to anybody? You listen to all these Michigan shows? I'm sure they're all hitting you over the head with subscribe, rate, and comment, do all that. I'm hitting you over the head here at the end with it. I do appreciate it. I enjoy each and every one of you getting in, and I like being able to put your thoughts up on the screen, like account is laughing. We take your calls via Twitter, through Twitter Spaces in the post-game show. I can do it on this show too, and at different times I will. The second half of the season, just like Michigan, you're expecting them to step it up. I'm expecting to step it up as well. All right, until tomorrow after the game, everybody have themselves a great day, and we'll see you after Michigan's victory tomorrow. Until then.